I wholeheartedly believe that anybody's capable of change. As a matter of fact, I believe that nobody is stuck to the way that they are or the ways that their lives have unraveled. It doesn't matter how far along you are in a journey. I genuinely believe that any point in time you can make the decision to change your life completely, not just from the outside in, but the inside out, right? The very personality traits that you have. Because when it's all said and done, you're programmed or you're conditioned into the way that you are. So I'm a full-fledged believer in that. However, I had to learn the vitally important lesson, which honestly saved me life. It saved me energy, attention, focus, time, etc., which I just translate to life. It saved me my life force when I finally accepted or finally allowed myself to move from a place of not basing people off of potential. Now, again, this isn't to discredit potential, right? At certain points in my life, all there was potential. All people could probably see was potential because there was nothing to actually show for what I could truly be. However, I also believe that when you go into relationships, whether it's a romantic relationship setting or it is a friendship or whatever it may be, that I can simply go in on the basis of I know this person can be this type of person. I know they may be the way that they are right now, but as soon as they get polished up, right? I know that they are a diamond in the rough right now, not even a diamond yet. I know they are a piece of coal at this very moment in their lives, but I believe that they can become a diamond. As a matter of fact, I not only believe they can become that, but I am going to be a part of that process, if not the one who takes them through that process. Now, this is nothing more than I would call a savior complex, right? Savior complex meaning you have this belief system that it is your job to save other people from themselves. And this is a prevalent mentality, especially if you came from backgrounds like I came from, the religious backgrounds, etc., where you literally believe that this is your job, right? So I was moving through life believing that, I was just to take these kind of uncut gems and to take them through a process and then get the potential out of them. And instead of what I believe would happen, which is, again, you get these perfect jewels that come out of this system that I created, I was taxed with the position. I was frustrated with the position. I became resentful in the position of having to, quote unquote, having to be this person that was bringing people to their potential when they truly didn't want it for themselves. And so again, I would get into a relationship, a friendship, right? Usually when we say the word relationship, we think automatically into, my soulmate, etc. No, into a friendship dynamic. And I would say to myself, this person has many characteristics and attributes that may be inherently destructive right now. They may be toxic right now, but I know with a little bit of work, with a little bit of TLC, that they can become something else. Almost as if I'm some kind of housing for, troubled youth or something like that. That's basically how I was moving through life. And so again, I base people off of their potential. And so what would happen time and time again is they would obviously remain the exact same. They would be the way that they came in, right? Which they deserve to. As a matter of fact, they didn't make any promises to me to say, I'm going to become this person. And even if they did, when it's all said and done, a person is simply who they are in that moment in time. And you're either going to accept them as they are or you're not. But for me, again, I would take people on as projects. And I started transitioning this into actual romantic relationships where I was the fixer. I would take you, I would mold you, I would craft you, I'd help to make you into whatever it is that you had the potential to be, believing that that was my job. And you might be watching this right now thinking, well, isn't that what you're doing through your content? No, it's different because I had a vested interest then. Right now, it doesn't matter whether or not you take this advice. Like, I speak truth and you can take that truth and apply it into your life or not. It really makes no difference to me, right? What you eat, don't make me go. You understand me? That's not what's going to run in my digestive tracts. That's between you and your gut. So I found myself in this place, or I found myself in this place where I was continuously getting into friendships, relationship dynamics, even with relatives or whatever it may have been, being this kind of superhero type of personality, at least in my head I was, right? Somebody who was doing things for the greater good, being able to see the potential in somebody and to pull them into that potential. And more times than not, if not every single time, I would end up disappointed and I would eventually end up resentful because I would be pouring my time, my energy, my attention, my resources into an individual, and I wouldn't be seeing the outcome. I wouldn't be seeing the result. You understand me? I would think to myself, this is an investment for me. And this investment has yielded no yield. There's been no payoff from this. But I'll keep that to myself, of course, and still pretend I was doing it from the goodness of my heart. And so the important lesson I learned was not only don't base people off of potential, but when you are cultivating a relationship or even choosing, because we do choose our relationships, we may feel that, oh man, I just ran into this person, now I got to be friends. We went to the same school, we've been friends forever. No, we choose the relationships that we cultivate. A relationship is a choice. Don't get that twisted ever. Even between a parent and a child, they make a decision if they're going to continue to have that relationship. A kid can leave, a parent can leave. Like, it's still a decision. However you think about it morally, that's up to you. But it's a decision between two consenting individuals to have a relationship, right? So anyway, back to the point at hand. I came to a place where I realized that not only to not base somebody off of potential, but when I see somebody, when I'm presented by somebody or somebody interacts and engages with me, and I feel to myself, there may be something here, I then say to myself, if this person remained the exact way that they are right now, every habit that they have, every mentality that they have, the way in which they move through life, everything about them would remain the exact same forever. Am I willing to have this relationship dynamic? And if I cannot say yes, there's my answer. Then I truly don't want to have a relationship with that person. Otherwise, I'm always looking forward to this proverbial, future self, this person who is going to aspire towards potential. And again, if you were somebody who was in my life, for the last 10 years, all you would have seen was somebody fulfilling their potential, right? You came from a kid who was addicted to dope and selling dope and basically had himself all over the place, every place but where he was supposed to be, to somebody who was directly in alignment with their purpose, somebody who lives like a monk in a lot of different ways. That's the sort of individual that you have in front of you. However, I would have still told you, look, I'm this type of person. And if you can't accept me for what I am right now, I promise you, it's going to be no good for either of us, right? Because there were people who tried to step into my life and be that savior when I was that person. And you would have probably waited about 5 years until you saw any sort of change. And that change didn't come as a result of you doing something. It came as a result of me making a decision to finally change my life, to transform my life, to transcend the space that I was in. It always comes down to a personal decision made. And so that's why going out to be the superhero, the savior, I've made a multitude of videos, but I feel like I have to harp on this because it's something that so many of us continue to perpetuate, and we waste our lives. We give our most valuable resource, which is not just time, but our attention, our focus. We give our undivided attention to trying to create others or make others something else. On the other side, escaping our own lives and delving into the lives of those who we think are more interesting than ourselves, right? Both are forms of escapism. It's just that this one's a lot more subtle. The one of hiding behind being a savior is a far more subtle form of escaping your own life and your own reality, as opposed to pouring into your own potential. Letting go of that guilty feeling of I need to be taking care of this person. Look, unless that's your job, like unless that is the resume that you turned in, and you got this job position, or you're working somewhere in a company, or you have a business that this is what you do as an organization, unless that is you, unless you are, let's say, a firefighter, a police officer, a nurse, somebody in that industry, it's not your job to save anybody. Even if you are in those spaces, the best you can actually do is the best you can do in every situation, right? When it's all said and done, even the doctor who is on that operating table, it is not them saving the person. It is them doing their job in order to hopefully get a result of this person being revived. So you become a part of the process, but you're still not the savior. So just imagine us, right? Citizens walking through life, moving through life, no surgery experience, none of that. We're just going through life and we're thinking to ourselves, man, who am I going to save today? Look at your friend group, you look at the relationships that you've thrown yourself into romantically, and you'll start to see patterns of, unless I was the one looking to get saved, I was probably the one trying to save. I was probably the one trying to make people what they were not. I needed them to be something that I wanted them to be in order for me to feel better about myself, in order for me to feel comfortable. That's the first reason. And the only reason why we try to change people in the first place is to make ourselves feel a certain type of way. It's not really about the other person. We make it as such so we can feel good about ourselves, right? We can validate ourselves. We can give ourselves a little pat on the back and a star on our forehead. You did so good, when there really is no need to do so. There's no need for you to validate your worth. There's no need for you to earn or deserve the love that is freely given in this life. But we do these things in order to, again, to create this level of self-validity. I am worthy. Look what I did for this one. Look what I did for that one. Look, everybody, I'm a good person. And so again, we suffer as a result. We live lives in which we feel as if we're not living our own. And we devote and dedicate our most vital resources, the ones that we can never get back, in order to make people something that they have not chosen for themselves to be. If we're the one who's made a choice to grow, to evolve, to become, then that is a choice that we've made. And that's a beautiful thing. And I know we want to bring people with us on that journey. We want people to see that they have the capacity, the capability to do the exact same for themselves. That is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful intention to hold. But you cannot do anything outside of yourself. It has to be a decision that is made within that individual every single time. 10 times out of 10, it has to be a decision that they make for themselves. So stop basing your relationships off of the potential, and you will free yourself from that burden. And instead enter into a relationship saying to yourself, if they were this way, every habit, every characteristic, like if they're lying right now, you think to yourself, well, if they just realize X, Y, and Z, right? If they're moving in a certain way, you have to say to yourself, if this is how they're going to be moving, am I willing to accept this? And if you say no, there is your answer. This ain't the person for you, especially when it comes to romantic relationships. Well, things are going to get better. We're going to do this. We're going to grow. We're going to blah, blah, blah. Once I'm married, once we have the kids, whatever it may be that you believe is finally going to change those characteristics, assume that it won't. Assume that they're going to stay the exact same. If not, even assume a little. This ain't, again, to be a pessimist at all, right? I view really the best in everybody, and I want to see that, but I don't make it my job or responsibility to bring them to that. That is their choice. I understand that aspect. But I will even say, it's like if they had a little worse habits right now, right? If the person is eating, ho-hos and milk duds every night, I'm to say they might do this for the rest of their life, and they might add Starburst. I don't know if people still even eat those. I don't even know what's in the candy section no more. I cut sugar out of my life, right? It had to go. It had no room, no purpose, no mission, no intention, because it's going to be the same. It's going to be toxic today, tomorrow, the rest of forever. So if that person comes in and that's a habit that they have, and you see the waistline is the size that it is, you got to accept that this might be the way things are going. If you're okay with that, then perfectly fine. Go ahead with it. But if you cannot be honest about that situation and you're genuinely in a place where you can accept that person for where they are, then forget about it. Let it go. Stop basing off potential. Base it off of where they are right now. Can you love them absolutely as they are right now? Be real with yourself, and you will save yourself and that person so much stress aches. That's a new version, not the headache, not just the stress, but the stress ache. That's not just in the head, that's full body. That's what you're going to be experiencing when you do this foolishness of trying to be somebody's damn mama and daddy when they grown. So that being said, quick plug of my first published book, Doing Me Guilt-Free, Breaking Free from People Pleasing and Unleashing Your Personal Power. This is your handy dandy life book that's going to guide you step by step, unapologetically, into how to break free from that need to people please, how to break free from that need to have people perceive you in a certain way, which is why we step into the savior superhero complex in the first place. We want to be seen in a certain way. It's time to cut ties with that. It's time to live freely. So get yourself a copy of one of those by clicking the link below. Until the next time, namaste, namaskar.